Welcome to the Carnivore Cast, a podcast focused on the carnivore diet and lifestyle, with practical advice from successful carnivores, citizen scientists, and top researchers. I'm your host, Scott Meslinski, and I'm here to speak with experts and experienced carnivores to get answers to your biggest and meatiest questions while helping you live your best life as a carnivore. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the Carnivore Cast on Patreon. By becoming a patron, you'll help us reach more people and continue to create content on carnivore. There are also exclusive perks available, such as private Q&As, consultations with me, and more. Become a supporter at patreon.com/carnivorecast. Check the episode description for the link. Thank you, and I'll see you there. Today, we have on Sylvia Tabor and Mark Ritz, the founders of Carnivore Snax. Sylvia at biohacking.chick on Instagram previously came on the Carnivore Cast as one of the first guests to talk about carnivore for women, her biohacking experiments, and turning her health around. So if you missed that episode, please go check it out. But I'm super excited to have both of you on today to talk about Carnivore Snax. How's it going?
Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. And we were just chatting about Carnivore Snax and how you sent me a few bags last fall. I think it was the eye of round, the ribeye, and the pork loin. And it was right before a hike that me and my wife took with some friends in New Hampshire. And they were so delicious. We chowed through them and we've been anxiously awaiting more. So thank you for that.
We appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
So I'd love to just start with, in your own words, either Sylvia or Mark, what is Carnivore Snax? Let's go from there.
That's a Sylvia question. Go for it.
It's a Sylvia question. Carnivore snacks are basically, I call them meat chips. Some people say, oh, it's like beef jerky. It's definitely not beef jerky. Then crunchy. All the only ingredients that go into it is just meat and salt. And when you look into jerkies, they always have some sort of marinade or vinegar or something else, mainly to preserve the freshness of the meat and also to make it weigh a little bit more, so it's more profitable. But yes, Carnivore Snax is just meat and salt, and I call it meat chip.
Yeah, I think that's perfect description based on what I tasted. They're super delicious, not like flimsy or too dry. They were still like moist, but very crunchy, like a potato chip, and not like jerky where it's super chewy, or biltong where it's kind of like crumbly and vinegary. So it was really, really delicious. And where did the idea come from for Carnivore Snax?
Well, it started because when I started Carnivore Diet and started traveling a little bit more and went to places that were like mostly vegan, it was hard for me to find or find any food that was carnivore. And some places would have eggs, and at that time I was pretty intolerant to eggs. So my aunt actually was making some jerky at her place, and she had this big dehydrator. And one day I just bought ribeye, and I asked her, can I try this out? And she lives in Arizona, and I was flying back home, and I'm like, this would be just perfect for my flight, so I made it, and it turned out pretty amazing. And from then on I started making it. But the trick with that, making it in the home dehydrator, later on I kind of learned that it can be a little dangerous from a health standpoint. And it's very tricky as well, because it doesn't, the dehydrators that you get on Amazon or you buy at stores like Bed Bath & Beyond, they don't have high enough temperatures, so it can be a little bit tricky. But that's basically how it started, just from my own selfish reasons to have something healthy that's carnivore and is grass fed, is good quality for my own travels. It's basically, I just wanted a steak on the go.
Yeah, very cool. It's similar to the Keto Bricks story with Robert Sykes, and I know he was using that during his bodybuilding contest prep, and then people just asked and asked questions about it, and he developed it into a product. So that's very cool. And how did you two meet?
Wow, I've known Sylvia now for almost 4 years. I think when I first opened up an Instagram account for my previous business, she was one of the first people I ever reached out to, and she kind of fell in love with what I was doing and what I was all about, and we did one little collaboration, and we've pretty much talked ever since.
Very cool. And you talked about, or one of the coolest things that got me really excited was your YouTube video, the intro Kickstarter type video. And you go deep into the sourcing and choices you've made around the product. Can you talk about some of that and how you arrived at those decisions?
Yeah, we both care a lot about giving the carnivore community and anybody that enjoys to eat meat a very good reason to being able to say yes to meat. I think with everything that's going on with the plant-based movement, there's a lot of people that are putting out information that is extremely mixed and, in our opinions, untrustworthy and coming from, well-funded people and organizations. So we wanted to make sure that we were sourcing from someone who was doing it in a way that not even anybody from the plant-based community or who believes that we should cut out meat from our diets to, save the environment, could ever have anything against it. And we knew about regenerative agriculture. We weren't necessarily, experts on it. But as we delved into the research, and I used some of my relationships through the likes of Diana Rogers, she connected me with White Oak Pastures. We felt it was extremely important for both of us to go out there together and get to know the people behind the process, learn a little bit from Will Harris, and really just put something else behind the brand that was beyond just creating a product. We stand for regenerative agriculture, and as you can tell, our tagline is, say yes to meat. If you choose regenerative agriculture, it really gives you that confidence to say, you know what, we can say yes to meat.
Yeah, that's really cool. And maybe it'd be helpful to understand, what are some of the toughest decisions you've had to make along the way with developing the product and challenges you've had? It seems like, just seeing a small peek into Robert Sykes creating the Keto Brick, there's just endless approvals and licenses and testing. And it's crazy, but it's so cool to see that you've created something physical. But I'd love to hear both the challenges and also just from your own ethical or financial standpoint, what are some of the really tough decisions you've had to make so far?
We both have had some, so I'll kind of share what I would like to, and then Sylvia, you can kind of maybe share the obviously the hurdles with developing and getting the product validated. But Sylvia and I talked, and we wanted this thing to be 2 ingredients. And so as we started to go out and try to get this product made, a lot of people turned us away because they want to either use a marinade or they want to use something extra to be in line with their process and to put more weight to the product again. And it's not easy. The shelf life is a lot shorter when you're using just salt and meat. So our idea was very unorthodox, and a lot of these co-packers who we need them to be able to serve our community at scale, really were not and are not willing to help. And then, as you know, when you are holding this product, it's very light. And so one of the I think it's a very positive side and a very negative side to the company. It's like if you 5 pounds of raw meat is really equaling about 2 pounds of our product. So that's great. If you can eat 2 pounds of product, you're getting the equivalent to 5 pounds of, ribeye or eye round. As from a business perspective, that becomes tough. Yeah. And so, we had to make the tough decisions on, whether or not we thought we could even create a company that could be profitable. And we know we can, because we have the carnivore community, the keto community on our side, and we believe we can sell a lot of product. We just believe that if there's a lot of people buying the product, that, margins that are thin become irrelevant if we just continue to sell a lot. So that's really been the biggest hurdle. Now, I know Sylvia probably has had her own, as she did all the R&D and traveling for that.
The travel, most part of it was definitely fun, aside from the part when I was stuck in the middle of the highway and snowstorm in Colorado, and my car just wouldn't move because I don't have the greatest car, and almost died a couple of times. But aside from that, the biggest hurdle would be probably, both of us are still working full-time jobs and trying to do this on the side, and just to keep the business going, and, having people working for us that are knowledgeable, and that, like, even with the environment stuff, we want to have some smart people on our team that know more than we know, essentially, right? So in order to get that ahead even of Kickstarter, get some information, and even the whole R&D process done, like, we need the money. And so we both are working full-time jobs, and Mark has 2 little kids, just had another one recently. So,
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's probably another kind of, it's a little bit stressful, and for me, I definitely feel it on my body, and probably if I wasn't carnivore, if I was vegan and trying to develop some sort of food product as a vegan, I would probably go crazy by now, to be honest. So it's a lot of stress, like, you hear people, oh yeah, I want to start a business, especially when it comes to anything with food, and especially with meat. It's a lot of work. So yeah, it's just stress. I think it's, getting everything together, relying on other people, waiting for them to get information back when you want to get something done, today, and you still need to hear back from 3 other people in order to complete one task. So that's a little struggle, that gets me a little bit stressed. But aside from that, I want to say it's all fun, but let's just say it is all fun.
Yeah.
For now.
That's really cool, and I'm sure it'll all seem worth it and very rewarding when the product is finally released to market. I'm sure there will always be challenges, but like you said, Mark, the entire community is really in support of you. I think we need these types of products, and there's a huge demand for them. So I really want you guys to be successful, as well as some of the other companies in the space, like Carnivore Bar. Can you talk about, like, if this is, like, feel free to say, like, this is still being worked on, you're still trying to figure it out, but how are you going to make a bag of grass-fed, grass-finished White Oak Pastures ribeyes affordable to people, or, like, price competitive?
Yeah, we get this question a lot, and I feel like I sometimes I beat a dead horse, because I have the same answer. I know Sylvia probably gets tired of hearing it, but before I started my own company and became really well versed in kind of building businesses, I worked for Costco wholesale for 11 years, and people are like, you always hear people talking about how amazing Costco is, and Costco being the second largest retailer, but, like, you go in and it's just so different than anywhere else you go. And what they do best is they are in the business of volume, and everybody's like, how does Costco have that price? It's such a damn good price.
Yeah.
It's because they sell more of it than anybody. And I can tell you that just judging by what we've done in our marketing over the last 8 months to build this community, like, I'm very, very confident that the price is going to be fine. Like, I think people are expecting, this to be outrageously expensive, but I would say you're probably going to look at the price being very in line with like the biltong industry. I don't think it's going to be really anything more than that, because I am confident that people are going to buy more of this product than a lot of the other boutique style meat products out there, if that makes sense. We're willing to take less of a margin because, I think that we can sell a lot of product.
Yeah, that's great. Makes a ton of sense, and sounds like you're coming at it with a very educated and experienced point of view there. And another thing you talk about with regards to the tagline and stuff is this product just for carnivores, or is it really for everyone?
No, it's for everybody. I mean, if you're carnivorous in any way, shape, or form, it's for everyone. But I think that we're really going to get there's going to be the people that buy it because of the statement. And that's what we like. When you buy it and you see that bag and it says, say yes to meat, why you say yes to meat. And you're representing that through this brand. That's not just a meat product, available online or on the shelf. So if you say yes to meat because you believe in it for the environment or because you love regenerative agriculture, then that's amazing. If you say yes to meat because you believe it's the most nutrient dense on the food planet, which, I mean, there's really no arguing that it is the most nutrient dense food on the planet, then that's why you're buying it. That's why you're saying yes to meat. So we really want people to feel good about buying the product because meat it just works wonders.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I often laugh and joke that this product is especially for vegans because that's what they need, in their body. Like they need all that nutrition that is in that meat, So yeah. I kind of as a joke, I wanted to put it on the back, especially good for vegans. But of course,
yeah, we gotta be careful there.
And I know that you guys, when you sent me samples, you had the 3 flavors. Are you still planning on those? Can you explain those to listeners? And if you have any hopes for future flavors or future products?
Yeah, that's a Sylvia question.
Right now, I don't necessarily call them flavors. It's just different cuts of meat. So we have
there's no flavor.
Pork, right. So there's pork loin, eye round, and ribeye. So those are the 3 main ones that we are planning on launching with. Eventually, we do want to expand to also include lamb and perhaps game meat, like maybe venison or something of that sort.
Cool.
If I had my own facility and I could just produce whatever I wanted to, I have so many ideas that I could, create so many different products with Carnivore Snax. But right now, we just want to do the 3 and then go from there. And, we do want to stick with white goat pastures. So lamb may be just a seasonal thing down the road, but we'll see. But like I said, right now, it's just going to be pork loin, eye round, and ribeye.
Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed all 3 flavors. And pork loin, I wasn't expecting this at all because I generally don't love pork. It was actually my favorite. It was really, really good. I mean, ribeye was great too.
Yeah, we definitely hear that a lot, man. It's like people do buy the product for the crunch experience. And if you really want the crunch experience, you're going to find it in eye round and the pork loin. If you want the airy, which I think is a great word, more novel-like type experience, you're going to find that in the ribeye. Danny Vega calls it a meat pastry in the ribeye. So, I would say that the ribeye is more of an airy, like crumble, not to where it crumbles, but it's just more light and fluffy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The salty, like dried fat on the ribeye was just so good though.
Oh yeah.
And I know you guys were like, at one point you sent out a survey asking for feedback on things like packaging and branding. How are you thinking about that? Or what changes have you possibly made or thought about, like with the clear bag, the opaque bag, things like that?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. Right now we don't have any plans to go retail. I think retailers kind of being on the whole plant-based movement thing probably wouldn't even like having something that said say yes to meat.
Yeah.
But retail is not like always like super great for your business because they're buying such high quantities at such low amounts. And I think that when you go to retail, you see these bags that have clear windows because that helps sell the product on the shelf. So you can see through it. You can see the product. Since we're direct to consumer, like that's it. You're just going to be able to get them on our website in the beginning. We're not going to have any windows in the bag. We like what we've landed on. It's very, very simple. It's going to say regeneratively raised meat. And it'll have the title of the cut of meat, and it'll have our certifications that we will be achieving. And that's it. We don't need a clear window because you'll be able to see what it looks like on the website. And that's kind of the route we decided to go.
Yeah, very cool. I support all those decisions. I think it's really smart. And one of the things I talked about is I gave as feedback, and it seems like you guys are kind of doing is not being like too aggressive with like the carnivore primal like type branding, because then I think it starts to scare away like non-carnivore people. They're like, oh, what's going on? Like they have this deep seated thing in the back of their mind, like meat is evil. What is this like aggressive branding? But it seems like, you guys have this kind of sleek white product. It seems more modern. And I think that's what people are kind of looking for. And it'll hopefully bring in more of the like non-carnivores as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. So when can people expect kind of next steps? What's the plan? How can people follow along?
April 1st, 10:30 a.m. I have it set to launch for our Kickstarter. If you're not familiar with Kickstarter, you will have access to tiers. So you'll have a pledge amount. They will come with, different rewards will be within the pledges. We've partnered with a few of the some carnivore influencers that have done some great work. The Emmerichs, the Strong Sisters, we've partnered with them. Their ebooks will be involved. We will have for early adopters, early birds, there will be some pretty awesome future credits to the site. So let's say you go with a pledge amount of, and I have no idea the number yet. Let's just say it's something like $250 or $500. You might get yourself a $50 or $100 like Carnivore Snax credit for the website once that launches. There would be, and some of those pledges will be limited. So they might only be like 10 to 20 available. It'll be really kind of unique in the way that it's presented. So April 1st, that goes live. If you're not on the email list, that's really the first people who get to know. If you've put your phone number in on that page, carnivoresnax.com, that's actually the very first people who will know. So there'll be a text that goes out, and then we will send an email out. And it's just really important to show up very, very early to make sure you get what's available. And it also obviously helps the Kickstarter kind of index to be able to be shown to some of the like Kickstarter fans, and it just helps everybody. So
awesome. Well, I can't wait for April 1st. I have both my emails on there, but I'm going to go and put my phone number in right after this to make sure I'm in the first wave. But super excited for you guys. You have all my support, and I'll definitely be contributing to the Kickstarter, and folks should definitely go check that out as well. And I'll have links to all of that in the show notes and at carnivorecast.com. But thanks again so much for your time today, Sylvia and Mark. It's been great to chat with you and learn more about Carnivore Snax.
We appreciate you having us.
Thank you so much.
Of course. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the Carnivore Cast on Patreon. By becoming a patron, you'll help us reach more people and continue to create content on carnivore. There are also exclusive perks available, such as private Q&As, consultations with me, and more. Become a supporter at patreon.com/carnivorecast. Check the episode description for the link. Thank you, and I'll see you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Carnivore Cast. If you enjoyed this episode, please review on iTunes. It really helps us out. And share it with a friend. What questions would you like answered, or who would you like to hear from in the carnivore research community? You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Carnivore Cast or go to carnivorecast.com. You can also email me at info@carnivorecast.com. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep it carnivore.